Hello, my name is Sophie Llewellyn-Smith. I'm a staff member here at the European Commission on a temporary contract, and today I'm going to give you a speech for Consecutive. It's about the psychology of food. I'm going to talk a little bit about how various external factors can influence how we taste our food, things like colour and the kind of plate that you're using. There isn't a lot of technical vocabulary in here, but there is one name, which is the name of a famous TV chef, Heston Blumenthal. I say TV chef. He also runs a restaurant called The Fat Duck. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'd like to talk to you about the psychology of food. I'm sure you know that there are many factors that influence how much we eat and how the food tastes, and I'm going to talk about some of them today. The first one that I want to talk about is colour. This is most noticeable when you look at the logos and the colours used in fast food restaurants, for example. McDonald's, it's yellow, it's red, it's orange. And this is because these are colours that stimulate appetite. They make you eat more, and they also make you eat faster, which is precisely what fast food joints want to achieve. They don't want you hanging around taking up seating space. Instead, they want you to eat quickly and then go. Another factor that influences how much you eat is portion size. Interestingly, if you have a very large bowl containing some pasta, you are likely to serve yourself more onto your plate than if the serving bowl is smaller. If you have a large plate in front of you, you are likely to eat more and underestimate how much you're eating. But the factor that I particularly want to talk about today is cutlery, and how the kind of cutlery that you're using can influence the taste of food. This is all based on a study recently carried out by a team at the University of Oxford. They looked at the behaviour of more than 100 students, and they reported the results in an article in the journal called Flavour. The conclusions that they reach following this study are basically that the brain makes judgments about the food that you eat before you've even put the food in your mouth. Let me give you one example. When the weight of the cutlery that you use is what you expected, this has an impact on taste. Food tastes sweeter on the small spoons that are traditionally used to eat desserts than if you use a bigger spoon. Let me tell you now about another example of how cutlery can affect taste. It's to do with colour contrast. White yogurt eaten off a white spoon tastes sweeter than white yogurt eaten off a black spoon. And a final example, this one is to do with cheese. If you eat a piece of cheese off a knife, instead of eating it off a fork or a spoon or a toothpick, then that piece of cheese will taste saltier. This is all to do with your brain's expectations, as I said earlier. Now, you might think to yourself, so what? Who cares whether a little piece of cheese tastes saltier or the yogurt tastes sweeter? What's the point of this sort of research? Well, the purpose of this research, according to the team running it at the University of Oxford, is partly that it could help dieters. You know that obesity is a big public health problem, and if we understood more about people's behaviour, what makes them overeat, then we could help dieters to acquire better habits. The team at Oxford also talk about improving the gastronomic experience of diners in restaurants thanks to this research. And indeed, if you know anything about the famous chef Heston Blumenthal, who runs a 3-star Michelin restaurant called The Fat Duck, you will know that this is precisely the sort of manipulations that he engages in. For example, he serves his diners a plate of food that looks like the sea. It has fish and seafood on it. It also has something that looks like sand, but that is actually edible. And he gives you an iPod, and you listen to the sounds of the sea while you're eating. And all of this clearly has an impact on how you perceive the food itself. But digressions about famous chefs aside, if you are trying to eat healthily, or perhaps even to lose weight, the advice is: eat off a small plate, eat off a blue plate if possible, and eat away from distractions like watching television. All of these factors will influence how much you eat. And above all, if you really want to be put off your food and reduce your appetite, colour it blue. The evidence shows that even if it's your favourite food, if you've made a delicious cupcake, if you add blue food colouring to it, you will be completely put off. Thank you.